Let's go over George Lucas, the original creator of the Star Wars franchise, starting off with A New Hope back in 1977. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, as you all know, these past couple of days we've been learning a whole lot more about the original sequel trilogy plans by George Lucas, in which we went over what he actually went over with James Cameron not too long ago. And I know a lot of you guys were either agreeing with George Lucas's idea or disagreeing with it on the whole concept of the wills and the whole entire concept of this microbiological world where it explains the Force more in detail. Now, aside from all of that, we did learn a little bit more about the original plans / ideas of the sequel trilogy by George Lucas that never came to fruition, ever since, of course, Disney took over and he sold it all over to them. Now, looking at the sequel trilogy by George Lucas, he really wanted to go deep into explaining the nature of the Force, the true nature of the Force. I mean, we all love that line, right, at the very end of Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine says, now you will understand the true nature of the Force. So I think that George Lucas really wanted to expand off of that very given line right there and actually explain the nature of the Force in full detail. Now, looking past this, there were actually original ideas of the characters, or should I say, the characters that actually mirrored both Rey, Finn, and Kylo, etc. There was actually this whole entire concept of the original sequel trilogy where there were actually empire / gangs in fractions, or factions I should say. They were actually separated. Now, we saw something similar in the books, such as Aftermath. If you guys have read those books, you do kind of see a little touch on that. But looking past all of this, there were a ton of planets that were controlled by a ragtag leftovers from the Empire and its scum. Now, looking at everything else, there was a whole entire concept of Luke Skywalker being this myth. This idea where he's not essentially heard of or nobody's ever seen him from time to time overall, ever since Return of the Jedi. Now, the other thing of the Rey character, which by the way, the character was not named Rey, this was just like a different version of the character of Rey, was also a junker, but it also worked at fixing things and was good with tinkering. So you can see the similarities here when it comes to Rey's character, and how George Lucas had a character that was very much similar to that. It's almost a direct mirror. The other one was Finn's character actually had some sort of like a hotshot young pilot thing going on. So Finn, in a sense, was playing the character of Poe, it seems, where in this sequel trilogy you only had Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren. Now remember, these are just mirror versions of these characters. Now when it comes to the character of Kylo Ren in George Lucas's version of the sequel trilogy, this character actually had something to do with Jedi bounty hunters, and they were all out to find Luke Skywalker. So if you look at the Disney version of the sequel trilogy, and if you look at Kylo Ren, the Knights of Ren seem like they could be, the other version of the Jedi bounty hunters that were in George Lucas's original version of the sequel trilogy. Now, again, like I say, Lucas had a ton of treatments for episodes 7, 8, and 9. It also focused on the children of the original cast, such as Han, Leia, Luke, you name it. Now, a lot of people may not like that idea of a film featuring more children. I know a lot of people disliked The Phantom Menace when they went over the whole entire idea of, young Anakin Skywalker. A lot of people didn't like the actor of Jake Lloyd. I remember that, by the way. I was young at the time, but I do remember where a lot of people just didn't like that actor. I really felt bad for the kid because, he was really giving his best. He was really doing his best in the movie. But looking at everything that George Lucas has put together for us, I think that's something to be grateful for. We have the original trilogy, we have the prequel trilogy, and without those, we wouldn't have these anthology films and these live-action TV series coming into the works. I know The Last Jedi created quite a stir and a lot of division within the community of Star Wars, and I'm really hoping that things really do come back together again. when J.J. Abrams steps in, or maybe even the franchise after the era of the sequel trilogy, after Episode 9 is all done and over. So let me know what you guys think about this below, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.